And we've seen the Queen delivering a check, but he cannot capture that knight because of, as David mentioned, there is a threat against the rook. And that is why Radjabov has sidestepped with the rook. And everything to play for, material versus king safety dynamics. Oh, I really do enjoy this type of chess, because if Dubov can survive and keep the extra pawn, then he will be winning.
Yes, actually, both sides, their kings look relatively safe right now. So who will get at the opponent's king first? Which pawns will be stronger? I'm struggling to pick a side. I mean, for example, I love my pawns, but black's pieces, those long-range pieces, the black queen, the black bishop, the black rook, they're all controlling so many squares right now. This one, I think Radjabov has his chances, but the clock situation, it might be critical for him. White, meanwhile, he needs to do something about that knight now.
Yeah, the clock situation is super worrying, because White has 2 minutes, just under 2.5 minutes. Black has just 30 seconds. That is not enough to play good chess in such a sharp position. And, OK, Dubov has protected the knight. And I'm expecting the queen to suddenly start to dash in. That would be the first move that I'm going to go in, because you want to play the most aggressive move possible. And I want the queen to deep dive into the white position and just attack the king, but at the same time, get going with that pawn that is 3 squares away from promoting.
Radjabov, meanwhile, going under 5 seconds there.
Oh.
Looking at his clock, he made a move with 3 seconds left.
OK, he didn't choose it. He didn't see it, maybe.
Yeah, I agree with Jovanka. Bringing black's queen deep into the heart of white's position, that would have been a strong one. But he goes for the more natural move, maybe, the most obvious move, pushing that black pawn forward. 11
seconds left, 8 seconds, 7, 6. Oh, this is getting nervous. He has to make a move. He's got 3 seconds on the clock. Come on, we're OK.
1 second left when he made that move. Timur Radjabov, he's getting nervous. I think we're getting nervous here in the studio. Black, though, playing a good move, bringing the black queen towards the white king. White's king, I mentioned, it was safe, but it is slightly airy. That pawn in front of white's king, actually, a couple of squares in front of it, it wants to be going backwards right now to keep that king nice and safe. It does mean that black's queen has targets on that right side of the board. Black not only has that strong pawn in the middle, the king, the white king, is also becoming a target.
Yeah, and I think with Radjabov just having 11 seconds on the clock, this is the moment for Dubov to just introduce chaos into the position. I really hope that he starts involving his knight and just asking some questions to Radjabov.
Yeah, the white knight right now, it's looking nice and pretty, but it's not doing anything. It's hitting thin air. It needs to re-centralise itself. Knights are much better in the centre of the board. That white knight, it should go to the centre, right next to the white queen, and it needs to start attacking that black pawn in the middle. It's not so easy, though. There's so much going on in this position. Dubov also dropping low on time. He's on the defensive. He's not used to this type of situation. Simon mentioned it earlier. He's out of his comfort zone. He wants to be attacking. He wants to be sacrificing stuff. Here, he's actually got the extra pawn, but he's on the defensive. Dubov, maybe not in familiar territory, and he's spending a lot of time
Under a minute now for Daniil Dubov in the game, where he has to win to tie the first semi-final match. And, yeah, well, Timur Radjabov with only 11 seconds. He only needs a draw, though.
Yes, he only needs a draw, and it's looking like an incredibly wild position. As David mentioned, if white centralises the knight, there's absolutely everything to play for. The margin of error is incredibly high in that position.
What is wildest now, the position or Daniil Dubov's hair?
Both are pretty wild. I like it, though. I like the dishevelled look.
Yeah, I know.
I don't like, though, is how much time he's been spending on this move. He spent 2 minutes. He's got 20 seconds left.
And this allows Radjabov to reach, and he's done it. He's made the move that we wanted him to play. He has centralised the knight to attack the pawn, and now Radjabov has gone with a deep dive with the queen into the left side of the board.
Yeah, the problem for Dubov is that not only did he spend 2 minutes there, he gave Radjabov 2 minutes to think on his own time.
Oh, this is too passive. This is just too passive. You cannot put your rook on such a square when you need to attack. And
Black's queen now zooming across. He's attacking a pawn. He's attacking a pawn, which now Daniil Dubov has defended with his queen. The white queen there, trying to attack the black rook, which is defended right now, trying to protect a pawn just in front of white's king.
There's no threat. There's just no threat. You can just push the pawn.
Yeah, so Jovanka's looking for black's pawn in the middle there to just keep pushing. And Radjabov, he finds it. That black pawn, you mentioned it, you called it 6-7 moves ago. It's going to decide the game. Black now has a few options. White is trying to capture that pawn with his knight. I mean, this is really tense now. Radjabov, I think he has
He's got 1 second. Okay, he's just made a move. He's made the move that I was wondering myself. Is it possible to play this bishop move? And he did it with 1 second.
He made a spectacular move, sacrificing his bishop. He made it with 1 second left. He was just judging up, he was weighing up the risk there. And White captures that bishop with the queen. He couldn't have captured with the pawn. It would have allowed checkmate. And Timur Radjabov has made a new queen. We saw 3 queens on the board there temporarily. That queen was captured. Both queens now. I mean, Radjabov, he will not lose this game, surely. Black having this rook for White's knight and 2 pawns, but White's knight and 2 pawns, they're not doing anything right now. They're off on the other side of the board. It's all about the White king. Radjabov, he's winning this position. He just needs a draw as well.
Yes.
Surely he's going to guide this home.
Yeah, he has to guide it home. The key for him is actually probably not to swap of queens. The White's king is very, very unsafe. If he swaps of queens, the White king will be super safe. And yeah, that's why you see him not do that. He's refused to exchange a queen. Instead, he's just determined to make the White king life a little bit unpleasant.
Yes, and White's queen now trying to attack the black rook. Dubov, he knows he needs a bit of a miracle here to win this game. He's hoping that Radjabov doesn't see that threat, maybe. But black's rook, it can step forward. It can, yeah, as long as Radjabov does not lose his rook here, he's still in control. And he uses his rook to join up with his queen. The black rook and the black queen now penetrated the enemy camp. He's looking for checkmate as black, but he's going to allow a repetition of moves. He knows he's winning as black, but he's allowing White to repeat, to keep checking his king because he knows a draw is enough.
Yes.
Well, Daniil Dubov is deciding if he wants to do that. I guess there's no hope for him now other than a mouse slip.
The best White can go for is a draw.
Yes.
And that would eliminate him. Well, it would not eliminate him. It would mean that he loses today's match. So.
Well, it means he really needs to come out fighting tomorrow.
Yeah, he definitely will need to see a change of approach because we saw Radjabov has been supreme on this. And this is why Dubov goes, well, I might as well just play on. I might as well just put my knight into the centre of the board because it doesn't matter. A draw is the same as a loss.
Yes, and White's knight now in the centre of the board. I think Radjabov should be winning if he brings his rook across to give check. White's king now out in the open, no shelter. All black needs to do is start coordinating again his queen and his rook to continue giving checks. I expect to see a check here with black's queen. Radjabov, he does have options. And the first time we've seen him frown today, really, he's getting a bit nervous. He knows he's winning, but he knows the game, the longer it continues, the longer maybe Daniil Dubov holds these chances. Meanwhile, Radjabov's so calm, just taking that pawn. I would have gone straight for White's king, but he grabs that black pawn. Sorry, he grabs the white pawn with his queen. Daniil Dubov, he's just struggling. His only hope now is to create some kind of checkmate against the black king, but he just can't do it. There's just not enough pieces, not enough ammunition left.
And it actually doesn't matter in terms of score, what kind of score Radjabov gets if he wins the match. It doesn't matter if it's 2.5 points, 1.5 points, or 2.5, 3.5. Tomorrow, if Dubov wins 2.5 points, that doesn't matter. You know, all that counts is that they tied the match.
Yeah, good point.
Game points are irrelevant. So, yep, that's a nice move by Dubov. And now we have a check and the king goes up the board.
We've seen so many Spartan kings today. Just no fear marching up the board.
But this is a very risky strategy because the queens are on the board. And now the queen has given a check and the king is all alone. There is no one to help it, so it has to move.
Yeah, and that white king has to, I think it has to step back. If it steps forward, it will get checkmated. OK, it steps across instead. Radjabov now can use his rook to capture a pawn.
And he's done it.
He has done it. He looked very surprised by Dubov's decision. Dubov kind of flinching there. He knows the end is nigh. White is so tied up that the white knight is actually pinned. It can't even move right now. So Radjabov has a move to do anything he wants, pretty much. This game is a complete draw. Well, at the very best, sorry, for Dubov. The best he can hope for is a draw.
Yeah, and he keeps running down his clock just to keep us all on our toes. Yeah, he's played that move with 5 seconds left on the clock. And, OK, now I think he has it in the bag. He just has to give a few checks and it is going to be game over for Dubov.
Yeah, Radjabov just kind of stroking his chin there. He knows there's no more chances. White's king right in the centre of the board now, right in the middle there. And that's a flashy check from black. The white knight cannot take the black queen because it is pinned. The queens are about to be traded, and Daniil Dubov, he actually resigns. He didn't even get the draw in that game. He resigns.
It is over, and that means Timur Radjabov is the winner of the first semi-final match against Daniil Dubov.